In the span of a single game of Rocket League, you really don't get that many offensive opportunities. And because capitalizing on your offensive opportunities is so important, in today's video we will be breaking down the keys to a successful offense in Rocket League. A successful offense in Rocket League really can be broken down into 4 things: understanding the goal, looking for opportunities, staying aware, and staying in the play. So what does each of these mean? When I say understand the goal, a lot of people might assume that the goal on offense is obviously to score. And while the end goal of any offensive drive is to put the ball in the back of the net, there are other goals we need to achieve before we can actually score. Mainly, the goal of any offense is to keep the ball out of the hands of the defense. If you can maintain possession of the ball for your team and focus on taking the ball around the defenders or putting the defenders in an awkward spot with your touches, you will have much more success than if you just slap the ball in a random direction and hope for the best. So although the end goal is to score, leading up to that we want to control the ball offensively as much as possible to try to take our opponents out of the play, therefore making the objective of scoring a whole lot easier. Next, we want to look for opportunities. Now this can mean a lot of things: opportunities for shots, opportunities for passes, or even opportunities off the ball, like going for boost steals and demos on the opponent. Basically, you want to keep your eyes open around the field so you see all of the possibilities that you have available to you. And based on what you're seeing from both your teammates and your opponents, you can then decide what action is the most useful in your current situation. Next, we want to stay aware. It is really important as we're on offense that we are aware of what is going on in the play. If we end up turning ball cam off and running to a corner without keeping an eye on what's happening in the play, we can often miss opportunities that we would be able to take advantage of if we were simply looking. So as we're playing on offense, we want to make sure we're as aware of everything that's going on as possible, so we don't miss any goal-scoring opportunities. And lastly, and arguably what might be the most important, please, for the love of God, stay in the play. So many players, when they end up being low boost, will just run away from the offensive half all the way back to the defensive end to collect full boost, rather than rotating the small pads that exist on the field. This normally results in your opponents being able to get the ball off of your teammates and therefore gaining control since you are no longer around to maintain pressure. So if your team is controlling the ball on offense, we want to make sure that we're staying involved in the play as much as possible. If we can simply rotate the small pads and stay upfield, that is what we want to do so we can provide support for our teammates. With all these ideas understood, let's take a look at some examples so you can see these ideas in action. We're going to look at a couple of examples here that cover all of these ideas really well. So in this first one here, we're going to see our teammate Nox pops the ball out and we'll go ahead and clear the ball downfield. And now our last opponent has had a bit of a whoopsie on the back line here, and the ball is just rolling free to the backboard. Now obviously with where this ball is going to be along the backboard, getting any kind of shot or pinch into the midfield is going to be kind of difficult just based on the angle we're coming from. So instead, we want to look for whatever opportunities we can find as we're chasing this ball down the field and as we wait to see where exactly this ball is going to go. We can see that there's currently no boost in that corner, but we know that there was just an offensive press from our opponents, so it is highly likely that this boost will be respawning fairly quickly. So we're going to go ahead as we're driving down the field here, and we're just going to go ahead and drive over this boost pad. We also can hear from our back left that our opponent is coming back from over here, so if this does spawn and we can steal it, that makes their life just a little bit more difficult. So that'll be the plan here. As the ball bounces up, we can see we don't really have a chance to make a play on the ball. So okay, we'll just check for the boost, and lo and behold, we time the spawn perfectly and steal this boost. Now it's important to check the situation of the play here to know what we need to do next. We can see one opponent rotating here down the midfield, second opponent now probably fairly boost-starved awkward along the back wall based on where this ball is, and our teammate is patiently waiting in the midfield currently facing over this way, which tells us that he is not planning to challenge this ball. So knowing this, we want to stay involved in this play because this is still our ball to challenge. Knowing that this player is going to be fairly awkward here, we don't need to make any kind of quick decisions to go for this ball. We can actually take our time to set up a better touch for ourselves, which is exactly what we're going to do. Identifying that our opponent is also in an awkward spot, we can go ahead and take our time spinning around on the wall. So now it's all about understanding the goal. Now, of course, we do want to put the ball into the back of the net, but if we look at the positioning of the defense, Chops is going to be in a spot to challenge us, and Good is rotating back as well. So if we try to take a straight shot here, we are going to get hard blocked fairly easily, and the ball is probably going to end up getting cleared. So instead of tunnel visioning on our end goal, why don't we focus on one of our intermediate goals of beating these players? So with that in mind, we don't want to take the ball this way because that is what our opponents are expecting us to do. Instead, we want to look for another opportunity which might be a pass out to the midfield, which it looks like Nox is fairly ready for. So as we play this forward, we're going to see that as we come down this wall, Chops is committing to the challenge, and if we take a look to the back corner, we can see Good is actually going for this corner boost as he is assuming that his teammate has the challenge here, which his teammate would if I were to try to shoot this ball directly. But instead, I understand that I don't need to shoot this ball. My goal is just to get this ball around the defender, which we do by just poking it out to the side to my teammate. And because Good thought his teammate was going to have the challenge, now Nox just has a totally wide open net to score on. So as you can see, we kind of checked all the boxes there on that play, and it led to a fantastic scoring opportunity for us. The bottom line in plays like these is that it's really important to understand that first and foremost, you want to get the ball around your opponents and keep it in control of your own team. Because if you can take your opponents out of the play, it often results in free goals like this. Looking at another example that'll be a bit more in depth here, we can see that Nox is currently set up to challenge this ball in the corner, and our opponents are kind of awkward there along the back wall. So as Nox pushes this across, we're going to have this weird double commit from our opponents that's going to pop the ball straight up into the air. Now you'll notice where we are positioned, we have a good distance between the ball and ourselves, and we are not hard committing in any one direction, so wherever this ball goes, we will be able to react accordingly because we're in a fairly good spot here in the midfield. So as this ball gets popped up into the air, we're going to identify that we have a free touch on this ball. Now the first idea here is that we want to keep control of it, because getting any kind of power on a shot from this angle is going to be kind of difficult. So instead, we want to look at how we can keep control of the ball. So naturally, the inclination is just to let this ball come down, we'll catch it and take it over to the sidewall, which is what we're going to plan to do until we notice that Good has recovered along the ground and he is working forward to challenge us. So now, because we don't have the ability to control the ball anymore, our focus again shifts to just trying to take the opponents out of the play. Since Good is rushing us along the ground, we're just going to go up and try to get this ball over the top of him. If it gets into the net, fantastic, that is wonderful. But more so, we are just worried of getting this ball past Good so that we can maintain offensive pressure here in this play. So we'll go ahead and get the touch over the top. Unfortunately, the ball is not on target, but it does put our opponent in a bit of a difficult spot with the ball bouncing off their backboard. With Nox also applying some more pressure, Chops is forced to just poke this ball out to the side with no chance of a follow-up. Now here we're going to see one moment where we do not do a very good job of trying to maintain control, because this ball comes at us fairly quickly, and admittedly we could take a bit of a wider turn to gain more control of this ball to continue the offensive threat. but instead we're going to go up this wall very quickly, which is going to result in the ball just bouncing back out into the midfield, which admittedly in this situation with Nox in the opponent's corner and Good facing out towards the midfield, this is a very dangerous touch to go for. So you'll see we get this horrible touch, results in the ball just bouncing mid, but luckily for us, Nox is doing a great job of looking for what other opportunities are presented to them around the field, notices that he has a bump opportunity here, and that is exactly what he goes for, therefore making this touch not the end of the world, because he forces Good out of the play, and makes it so that they can't get a touch on this ball. So well done by Nox there to maintain offensive pressure, even without having control of the ball himself. So this ball is going to float out into the midfield. Now we identify, okay, we're low boost, Nox is stuck on our opponent's half. The last thing we want in this instance is any kind of free clear coming through from our opponents. So even though we're low boost, we are going to make a rather aggressive challenge here just to try to keep this offensive pressure on so that we don't give up a very dangerous counterattack. I would much rather get a 50-50 here. Even a bad one is better than just giving up a free touch when we are this low boost. So we're going to cut across, and we are going to jump up nice and quickly, and again, our only concern here is to take Good out of the play. We are not worried about trying to shoot this ball, because if we did try to put this on target, we would be putting it right into the path of our opponent. So instead, we are going to look to play it around him to enable us to continue this offensive press, which is exactly what we do, play it around to the wall. Now, we make one quick check there to see that the corner boost is there, so knowing that opportunity is presenting itself, we're going to go ahead and grab that, but we also turn ball cam right back on so that we can stay aware of what's happening. And because of this, we can see that our other opponent has left himself in a very awkward spot and is not really going to be able to challenge this ball all that effectively. So as we pick up this boost, we can register what's happening with the defense. Chops facing backwards towards the net, not challenging the ball. Good rotating back from the midfield, also not challenging the ball. Now we could try to swing around on this and make an immediate offensive attack on Chops. However, this is an incredibly difficult play to pull off, and if we don't execute perfectly, we might just be giving a free 50-50 to give the defense the clear. So instead, let's look at what opportunities present themselves around the field as we roll this forward. So we'll see both of them coming back, Good flipping. Now immediately, we recognize we don't have an angle here, don't want to play it this way, but we do have a teammate picking up mid-boost over here on the right side of the field, and we can dish a pass off to that side to allow us to maintain control of the ball. So that's exactly what we do. And then again, as Nox is going to be taking over this ball, we are not going to just leave the play. We know we still have offensive pressure here. Even though we don't have full boost, we have a fine amount, and we can easily just turn back upfield as Nox takes control of this ball so that we can support him for whatever challenge or play he goes for. So as Nox takes this up into the air, we are turning back upfield, staying involved in the play, and as Nox goes up into the air, he gets both defenders to jump. So now, much like at the start of this play, we are sitting midfield, good distance between ourselves and the ball, and we're in a spot that no matter where the ball goes, we can react to it very quickly. And this is a position you want to find yourself in quite often on offense, because it allows you to respond to almost any play that happens. So because we're in such a neutral position, we can just kind of wait to see how this challenge plays out. We can see that the challenge does come through and the ball just bounces off the ceiling, and now we need to identify the situation our opponents are in. This player is flying in this direction, so they are totally out of the play. So now we're just wondering if Chops has any kind of resources to get back to this ball. And as we can see, he is completely out of resources and is just floating in the air. So at that point, we know that we have a completely free net. So as we identify that this is a free ball, we are just going to take our time, make sure we put this in the net nice and easy. Don't try to do anything too fancy. Just catch the ball and roll it into the goal. So again, in that play, you kind of saw all the elements of a successful offense being mixed together into one play. Again, elements of understanding that we don't always need to go directly for the net. We can work for things to just keep the ball in our own possession. The play also involved being aware of when that boost was spawning and then keeping an eye on our opponents to see exactly what the best play to make was. Add in recognizing the opportunity for the boost steal, as well as my teammate recognizing the demo opportunities when I had an incredibly subpar touch. And lastly, you had us staying involved in the play. Even though we didn't know exactly where the play was going, we were positioned exactly where we needed to be to pounce on whatever opportunity came about. And if you really focus on these 4 things while you're playing on offense, you will see much more success for yourself. I do hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you click that subscribe button right down below so you make sure you don't miss any future Rocket League content. Additionally, if you'd like to be more involved in this community, please consider joining my Discord, link down in the description. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. See you later, guys.